Before we get started, I'd like to make a couple public comments. This is my first chance to say something since the recent court ruling. And I just want to say Gloucester County has always strived to have an open and a very clear open process. We have strived to follow laws, even as the laws evolve. There's been a great deal of confusion in the law. The same judge that requested a monitor is the same judge that said we didn't do anything wrong. We're seeing this throughout the state, and we rely on our attorneys, and we have a great deal of confidence in our attorneys, and they advise us so we do not violate any laws. And I just wanted to say that we are extremely disappointed, but I'm taking this opportunity to, honestly, I look at this as a wonderful opportunity for Gloucester County to demonstrate that we go above and beyond and do better and more than any other place in this state to try to have a very clear and open process. So unfortunately, I'm unhappy about what happened. I don't agree with what happened, but we are going to continue to work, and we will demonstrate and prove, and will be validated by an independent monitor. So I see this as very positive. There's a need for clarity in this law. As we reviewed, there's a lot of concerns and confusion. So again, I'm going to ask Sam if he would like to comment for the board, to make a few comments to the board before we start. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Director. By way of report, clearly the legal department respects but respectfully disagrees with the court's conclusions in the Burnett case. It's important to recognize that this case started with plaintiff's attempt to halt construction of the new county courthouse. That part of his case was dismissed. That was followed by his effort to derail the funding for that project, and that part of his case was also dismissed. That was followed by an effort to void some 2 years of other actions taken by the county, and that part of the case was dismissed. The courthouse is about to be completed, and all of the other complaints of matters have moved forward as well. Plaintiff then appealed on other issues. The appellate division disagreed with the part of the trial judge's rulings on those issues and sent the case back. The trial judge then entered the order that we're dealing with now. In my opinion, the outcome of this case is indicative of the struggles that governments throughout the state have had with fully understanding and fully complying with the Open Public Meetings Act and the Open Public Records Act. Both are obviously important, socially beneficent laws, but implementation is problematic. The proof of this is the long list of appellate division decisions in these areas. You don't have an appellate division case unless the two sides to the dispute disagree. You don't have an appellate division overturn a trial judge's decision unless the judges themselves have different interpretations of the law. That is what we faced here, and there are many other examples. One case the board has been discussing over the last 2 years is the casino simulcasting case. In that case, there was an appeal from the final order of the New Jersey Racing Commission. The case dealt with the extent of the record which the commission made in their public meeting on the distribution of the special fund. The appellate division reversed the commission's decision, and in so doing, in my opinion, changed the rules on the extent of the public record that needs to be made after discussions in executive session. The New Jersey Expressway Authority, the Warren School District, the Division of Youth and Family Services, many other government bodies have all been involved in cases where the trial court decided one way and the appellate division reversed. With regard to Oprah, despite the guidance set out in Pat versus Monroe Township and Trenton State College, local governments are still using multiple versions of resolutions to authorize closed sessions, some of which resolutions clearly do not comply with the dictates of those cases. Recently, the Government Records Council issued an advisory opinion indicating that all requesters must submit their OPA request on the government's official OPA request form. But last year, the appellate division reversed, and now we are required to accept almost any writing. For almost 10 years, New Jersey towns and counties read the Open Public Records Act the same way, and read it to provide a certain schedule of fees for copies. But very recently, in Smith versus Hudson County Register, the appellate division practically overnight changed the way all of us have to charge for OPA records. It sent those same towns and counties scrambling to adopt resolutions to beat a July 1 deadline. Some of these cases are new, some of these cases are older. But the point of this description is to demonstrate that the Open Public Meetings Act and the Open Public Records Act continue to be two areas of law where there is great disagreement among judges and governments and citizens concerning what the exact requirements of the law are at any point in time and how best to achieve complete compliance. Ultimately, the freeholders rely upon the advice of county council, that's me, and I rely upon the state of the law at the time. But the law in these areas is a constantly moving target. From a good government perspective, it is indeed unfortunate that for some, this dynamic is seen as an opportunity to attack instead of inform, to obstruct instead of improve. Those who take this approach seem to me to make a fundamentally false assumption. That is that the government is operating in bad faith. This line of cases shows that good faith efforts to comply can still result in negative decisions. In a portion of a judgment denying counsel fees to a records requester, one judge commented that a rule of reason must illuminate all applications of legislation. This process cannot, he said, be the occasion for a gotcha game. From my perspective, our case can actually create an opportunity for us to share with other local governments how we might be able to stay ahead of the curve, as there will surely be more head-scratching cases in this area in the future. The judge in our case did observe that Gloucester County was to be commended for the steps it had taken, that the work described in the administrator certification all goes towards transparency, and that the appointment of our compliance officer was laudable. Gloucester County has been intensely scrutinized over the last 2.5 years. The unrefuted proofs presented by the county in our lawsuit demonstrated that during that time, the county's record is an excellent one of compliance with the complex law. The county legal department will certainly accept and assess the court's directions and make them a part of our continuing effort to maintain transparency while producing good government. That's my report, Mr. Director.
Thank you.